On behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, we welcome you for this interactive video lecture session. Today's topic is Steam Power Plant. This is the 16th module of the course Thermodynamics and its Application. I am Professor Subhashish Maji from School of Engineering and Technology of Indira Gandhi National Open University. So, let us begin our discussion. After listening this video lecture, you will be able to understand the concept of steam power plant. You will be able to explain the purpose of cooling tower. You will be able to describe the nozzles, and you will be able to solve the numerical related to steam power plant. The steam power plant operating on the Rankine cycle is the most common thermal power plant operating with coal or lignite as fuel. The same steam power plant is used in nuclear power plant, with the reactor replacing the furnace of the boiler as the heat source. This is the schematic of steam power plant. There are four important components are there. First one is boiler, second one is turbine, third one is condenser, and fourth one is pump. Here you see the boiler, which is producing high pressure, high temperature steam due to the heat produced inside the boiler by burning of fuel as coal, and that heat is being utilized for converting liquid water into high pressure, high temperature steam. The high pressure, high temperature steam is entering into the turbine and it produces work. The shaft of the turbine is coupled with the shaft of the generator, in turn which produces electricity. The low pressure, low temperature steam enters into the condenser, thereby condensing into liquid water, and the pump sends back that water to the boiler that completes the cycle. Here Q1 is the heat input to the boiler, we will consider as positive. WT is the work done by the turbine, we will consider it positive because as per the sign convention, work done by the system is considered as positive, work done onto the system is negative. And Q2 is the heat given by the system to the circulating water in the condenser. Since it is a heat loss from the system, Q2 is considered as negative, and the WP is the work done by the pump onto the system. Since work done onto the system is considered as negative, so WP is negative as per the sign convention. A schematic of the steam power plant is given in figure 1. The steady flow of water at high pressure enters the boiler. Heat transferred Q1 from the combustion products generated by burning fuel and air in a furnace and laid to the boiler causes the water to boil. The high pressure steam thus generated leaves the boiler steadily to enter the turbine. The steam expands in the turbine to deliver the shaft work, that is WT. The low pressure steam leaving the turbine enters the water-cooled condenser, where it is condensed because of heat transfer Q2 to the cooling water. A steady flow of condensate, that is water, enters the pump to complete the cycle of events. The pump delivers water at high pressure to the boiler. The work supplied to the pump WP is usually very small in comparison to other interactions, and hence, unless otherwise mentioned, it is customary to neglect the magnitude of this work in the analysis of the steam power plant. Although each of the four devices in the plant, boiler, turbine, condenser and pump, is a steady flow device, all these four devices together enable the water to undergo a thermodynamic cycle. The system, that is water, that undergoes the thermodynamic cycle is shown enclosed by the boundary S in figure 1. A careful perusal of the figure reveals that during the cycle there are four interactions across the system boundary, namely Q1, the heat transfer to the system, number 2, WT, the work output from the system, number 3, Q2, the heat transfer from the system, and number 4, WP, the work input to the system. By the sign convention, we have already mentioned that Q1 and WT are considered as positive, whereas Q2 and WP are negative. Applying the first law of thermodynamics in the system occurring the cycle, as you all know that for a cyclic process, summation of net heat supplied is equal to summation of work transfer. So in this case, after considering proper sign convention, we can write Q1 plus within bracket minus Q2 is equal to WT minus WP, or Q1 minus Q2 is equal to WT minus WP. The performance of any device is usually evaluated by its efficiency eta, which is defined as the ratio of the output to the input, or the ratio of what you want to what we are paying for. The output from the steam power plant is the net work, that is WT minus WP, and the input is the heat transfer in the boiler, that is Q1. Hence, the thermal efficiency or the cycle efficiency of the plant is given by eta, that is equal to WT minus WP whole divided by Q1. Also, in a thermodynamic cycle, from the first law of thermodynamics, net work, that is equal to WT minus WP, is equal to net heat transfer, that is equal to Q1 minus Q2. Therefore, it is obvious that the efficiency of the cycle is also given by eta, that is equal to Q1 minus Q2 whole divided by Q1, that comes out to be 1 minus Q2 divided by Q1. Now we will discuss the cooling tower. So cooling tower is required for providing cold water, which is required in the condenser. So in the cooling tower, you see the schematic of natural draft cooling tower. So on the top there is the draft fan, and that sucks the air. So air is sucked from the sideways and it is entering from outside to inside, and the hot water which is to be cooled is flowing from top to bottom, and while flowing from top to bottom, it is passing through the packing material, and there is sufficient time that takes place for the heat transfer between hot water and the dry air, and because of this the dry air is temperature increases and the hot water which is falling from the top of the cooling tower to the downward direction is getting cold, and the cold water is coming out from the outlet which is located at the bottom. Now let us discuss about the parameters of cooling tower. A number of parameters describe the performance of a cooling tower. Range is the temperature difference between the hot water entering the cooling tower and the cold water leaving. The range is virtually identical with the condenser rise. Approach is the difference between the temperature of the water leaving the tower and the wet bulb temperature of the entering air. The approach is affected by the cooling tower capability. For a given heat loading, water flow rate and the entering air conditions, a larger tower will produce a smaller approach. The water leaving the tower will be colder. This is another diagram for the cooling tower, and it is evaporative cooling. Just see the diagram very carefully. There is a draft fan on the top and air is sucked from the downward inlets, and you see that the air is entering on the sideways and water is falling from the top of the tower in the downward directions. Condition of the water at the inlet of the cooling tower is hot, and while falling from top to bottom there is heat transfer from the hot water to the dry air. Here because there is a temperature difference in between hot water and the dry air, definitely there will be heat transfer because of the temperature difference between hot water and the dry air. But at the same time, when the water is falling, some of the water particle will evaporate, and that takes the latent heat from the water itself. That's why the temperature falls down for the hot water. So if you look at the schematic of the cooling tower, that is evaporative cooling, you will understand very clearly. Now the mechanism of heat transfer in cooling tower. Heat transfer in cooling towers occurs by two major mechanisms. As I have already mentioned, that because of the temperature difference of hot water and the air which is entering sideways inside the cooling tower, and some of the water particle will evaporate, and that will take the latent heat from the water itself. So heat transfer in cooling towers occurs in two major mechanisms: sensible heat from water to air, that is convection, and transfer of latent heat by the evaporation of water, that is diffusion. Both of these mechanisms operate at air-water boundary layer. This is another diagram of the cooling tower, and you see that air is entering from the sideways at the bottom of the cooling tower because there is a fan on the top that sucks the air from the bottom, and the air will travel onto the top, but while traveling they will pass through the portion which is filled with packing material. Now the hot water will pass from the top to bottom, and there will be heat transfer in between the hot water and the air, which is flowing from bottom to top, and the water is flowing from top to bottom. So air is flowing from top to bottom of the cooling tower, and the hot water is flowing from top to bottom, and in turn there will be heat transfer in between hot water and the dry air, and we will get the cold water which is coming out from the outlet of the cooling tower at the bottom. Nozzles. The primary function of the nozzles is to convert thermal energy of steam into kinetic energy. The secondary functions of the nozzles is to direct the steam against the blades. So nozzles are being used in the turbine sections of this steam power plant. The expansion process is controlled by the pressure ratio across the nozzle. The two types of nozzles used are convergent and convergent divergent nozzles. For convergent divergent nozzles, we also call it C-D nozzles. C for convergent and D for divergent. This is the schematic of the convergent nozzle. You see that there is nozzle entrance and there is nozzle throat. The flow will take place from the left side. It will proceed towards the nozzle and leaves from the throat for the convergent nozzle. The convergent divergent nozzle has two sections, convergent duct and divergent duct. The section of the nozzle where the cross-section area is minimum is called the throat of the nozzle. This is the diagram of convergent divergent nozzle. So from the left side the fluid is entering into the convergent divergent nozzle and it is leaving out through the exit section, and the throat is there where the area of cross section for this convergent divergent nozzle is minimum. So in the left section that is convergent region, and from the throat to the outside on the right the hand directions is the divergent region. Now let us see how we can calculate the velocity of steam. So here HD is heat drop during expansion of steam in the nozzle, that is equal to H1 minus H2, where H1 is the enthalpy at the inlet and H2 is the enthalpy at the outlet. So gain in kinetic energy is equal to adiabatic heat drop. So for unit mass of steam we can say that the gain in kinetic energy is C square by 2 is equal to HD. So C is equal to under root 2 multiplied by 1000 multiplied by HD, where HD is in kilojoule. That comes out to be 44.72 under root HD. But in this case you see that we have multiplied 1000 in the right hand term because C square by 2 is coming as joule, so we have to convert into kilojoule by dividing C square by 2. We have to convert into kilojoule, so that's why on the right hand side we have to multiply it by 2000. That's why the velocity C comes out to be under root 2 into 1000 into HD. Now let us take a very interesting numerical. So how to calculate the efficiency of a boiler? So this data is given for a boiler. We have to calculate the efficiency of the boiler. So types of the boiler is coal-fired boiler. Heat input data, quantity of coal consumed is 0.225 TPH, that is ton per hour. GCV, that is gross calorific value of coal, that is 30100 kilojoule per kg. Heat output data, that is quantity of steam generations, equal to 2 TPH, that is ton per hour, 2 ton per hour. Steam properties, 10 bar, dry and saturated steam. Enthalpy of steam, that is dry and saturated steam, at 10 bar pressure is given as 2776.2 kilojoule per kg. Feed water temperature is heated by an economizer to a temperature of 110 degrees centigrade, and enthalpy of feed water is given as 459.8 kilojoule per kg. We have to find out the efficiency. Now, when you would like to find out the efficiency, we know very well that efficiency is defined as output by input. So here the output is the steam which we are getting as an output from the boiler, and the input is the heat input that is given by burning of coal inside the boiler. Now let us see how we can calculate the efficiency of the boiler. Boiler efficiency is given by capital Q multiplied within bracket capital H minus small h multiplied by 100 divided by small q into GCV. Now the numerator is obviously the output and the denominator is input. Now in this case, Q is the quantity of steam generated per hour, kg per hour, and capital H is enthalpy of saturated steam, kilojoule per kg, and small h is the enthalpy of feed water, kilojoule per kg. Small q is the quantity of fuel used per hour, that is kg per hour, and GCV is the gross calorific value of the fuel, that unit is kilojoule per kg. Now boiler efficiency is equal to 2 into 1000 within bracket 2776.2 minus 459.8 bracket close multiplied by 100 divided by 0.225 multiplied by 1000 multiplied by 30100. Now you see, for this problem that we have multiplied 2 into 1000 because the steam produced is 2 ton per hour. 1 ton is equal to 1000 kg, and for this case efficiency comes out to be 68.40%. Now let us take up another problem, that is dry saturated steam enters a frictionless adiabatic nozzle with negligible velocity at the temperature of 300 degrees centigrade. It is expanded to a pressure of 5000 kilopascal. The mass flow rate is 1 kg per second. Calculate the exit velocity of steam. So here at the inlet condition, that is state 1, we have to find out what is the enthalpy that you can get from the steam table for the temperature 300 degrees centigrade. What is the enthalpy of dry saturated steam? From the steam table we can get the value of H1, that is equal to 2751 kilojoule per kg, and S1, that is entropy at state 1, that also you can get from the steam table, that for this condition at state 1 for 300 degrees centigrade we will get the value from the steam table S1 equal to 5.7081 kilojoule per K and SF is equal to 2.9206 kilojoule per kg. So here SFG is equal to SG minus SF, that comes out to be 5.9735 minus 2.9206. Now, since it is an isentropic process, so entropy at state 1 is equal to entropy at state 2. So S1 we know, that is 5.7081. This value we can get from the steam table, and S2 we can write 2.9206, that is entropy for the state 2, and X2 multiplied by 5.9735 minus 2.9206, and calculate X2, that X2 is the quality of steam at state 2. X2 is the dryness fraction at state 2. So if you calculate X2, that is dryness fraction or quality of steam at state 2, that comes out to be 0.913. Now if you know the quality at state 2, and you from the steam table you can find out what is HF2, what is HFG2, that is the properties of enthalpy at state 2. Now there is no problem for calculating enthalpy at state 2. So H2 will be 2651.5 kilojoule per kg. Now we know the flow equations for the nozzles, that is C1 square by 2 is equal to H1 minus H2. We know H1, we know H2. So C1 for this particular case we can calculate by putting the value of H1, H2, but we have to be very careful while solving this problem so that you will get the correct result. And see, we have multiplied 1000 on the right hand side because H1 is in terms of kilojoule. So the final velocity C1 is, for this case you will get 446.1 meter per second. Now let us see how we can solve the exercise 3. A steam turbine receives steam at a pressure of 1 megapascal, 300 degree centigrade. The steam leaves the turbine at a pressure of 15 kilopascal. The work output of the turbine is measured and is found to be 600 kilojoule per kg of steam flowing through the turbine. Determine the efficiency of the turbine. This is the same kind of problem. Now let us see how we can solve this problem. The actual work output, that is WA, is equal to H2 minus H1, that is given as 600 kilojoule per kg. From superheated steam table at 1 megapascal and 300 degree centigrade, we know that H1 is equal to 3051.2 kilojoule per kg and S is equal to S1. That value is also given 7.1229 kilojoule per kg, and this problem is exactly the similar problem as we have done, but let us see how we can solve this problem. At 15 kilopascal, SF is given as 0.7549 kilojoule per kg, SFG is given as 7.2544 kilojoule per kg, HF is given as 266 kilojoule per kg, and HFG is given as 2373.2 kilojoule per kg, and process 1 to 2 is isentropic process, so S1 is equal to S2S. So from this we can calculate the quality, that is X is equal to 0.878. From the saturated steam table at 15 kilopascal, you get this information about the entropy, that is SF is equal to 0.7549 kilojoule per kgK and SFG is equal to 7.2544 kilojoule per kgK. HF you will get 266 kilojoule per kg and HFG is equal to 2373.2 kilojoule per kg. So 1 to 2 is isentropic process. So S1 is equal to S2S. So from this information we can calculate the quality at stage 2, that is equal to 0.878. So once you know the quality at the point 2S, there is no problem for calculating enthalpy. So enthalpy H2S is equal to HF plus X2 HFG. HF and HFG you will get these values from the steam table. X2 you have already calculated, so there is no problem for calculating H2S, that is equal to 2309.2 kilojoule per kg. So for isentropic work done per kg is equal to Ws equal to H1 minus H2S, that comes out to be 742 kilojoule per kg. Now from saturated steam table at 15 kilopascal, we know SF is equal to 0.7549 kilojoule per kgK, SFG is equal to 7.2544 kilojoule per kgK, HF 266 kilojoule per kg and HFG is equal to 2372.2 kilojoule per kg. And we know very well that 1 to 2 is isentropic process. From here you calculate the value of X, that comes out to be 0.878, and in turn we can calculate H2S is equal to 2309.2 kilojoule per kg, and for isentropic work done Ws is equal to H1 minus H2S, that comes out to be 742 kilojoule per kg. So efficiency of the turbine eta is equal to Wa divided by Ws, that is equal to 600 divided by 742, that comes out to be 0.8086, and that is equal to 80.86%. So we have discussed in detail about the steam power plant, and let us summarize very quickly what we have discussed in today's lecture session. We have discussed the concept of steam power plant, we have discussed the purpose of cooling tower, we discussed about the nozzles, and we have also discussed a numerical related to steam power plant. By that, thank you for today's discussion.